Hello, Pi Network, Pi Nation. Welcome to the unofficial Pi Network podcast number 8. Today is January, 30th, 2021. And so, just to, start off, if you are going to be joining the Pi Network, I encourage you to do so. If you don't have an account already, you can use my invite code Converge20 in order to join that. Or if you want to use another similar application, it's called the B Network. Very similar to the Pi Network. My invite code is Converge21 for that. And if you want to use Timestope, which is something similar as well, again, I'd encourage you to use all three. And my invite code for that is Converge21. That information can be found in the comments, the show notes below. I don't have a long show planned out for today. In the future, I plan on going in pretty deep on some ideas, and I'll talk more about that as we go in. But some of the things that I've come across in the past week that have, stood out to me and I think are related to what we're doing here in the Pi network space is the effect of multiple coin miners of the same type. So when I started doing the Pi Network podcast unofficially, I was really gung-ho, and it's like the honeymoon stage of a relationship, it's like everything is great, everything is rosy, can't, wait to get this done, I'm just super excited. But then copycats come out, or, some time goes by and you realize, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if anything changed, it's not you, it's me kind of situation. But, then I hear about the B network, and that's a clone of Pi. And so then I download that app, because I definitely want to continue mining on my phone. So, I'm, using their application. And so now, because there's two of them, Pi is not unique. It sounds like, is this a scam or something like that? Even me, like I've been around the crypto space for a long time now, and those thoughts still go through my mind. And then I hear about another one still, it's similar but different, where you're mining another type of coin with your phone, and that's the Timestope. And so it's like, one is like, super laser focused. I could, get that done all day, every day. Then two, I split my focus. Three, and I'm like, it's weird because it doesn't seem like much. I'm pushing 3 different buttons per day, but it just adds up. It adds up the things to keep track of. And so I don't know, like that combined with everything else that I'm doing. Obviously I'm able to do it, but I have other people in the household as well. So keeping up with them, making sure that they're doing it. I don't even want to, talk about it with my friends. I don't even want to, express the information here to people to keep up with them. It's just like, if you figure it out, you find it on your own. If you find this video and you find the information in it, then, get at it. But, after the first one, you need to be, in the discovery phase of this ecosystem yourself. And so you have to have some kind of intrinsic motivation. But even me, someone that's been around the crypto space, been aware of it for a very long time, and been dealing in it in the sense of, investing in it for, a few years now, having had, pretty good success with what's been done so far. Even with that perspective, I'm still having a hard time with it. So imagine somebody who is new to the space and they're not familiar and they haven't experienced any success, and they didn't see Bitcoin being sold for $35, and with the chance to possibly buy into it, and then seeing it run up to whatever, $30,000, $40,000. It's ridiculous. If they don't have that vantage point, it's so hard to, find the motivation to keep on going. I guess, if life is just tiring in general, work, adds up day to day. But I'm finding the motivation to keep on doing it. It's just, going out and communicating this information to people is hard at this point with the amount of energy that I have to spare, it seems. So that's one of the thoughts that's been on my mind lately. So I was listening to a podcast recently. I think it was the Bankless podcast, and they had a really interesting thought experiment where the guest, proposed this alternate universe. It's an imaginary exercise where he says, imagine an alternate universe where you don't know where you will end up, where you will be born. You don't know if you're going to be rich or if you're going to be poor, what kind of, access you're going to have to the different systems that are available in that culture, in that world. So in that theoretical world where, you don't know where you're going to end up, what kind of monetary system would you like to exist in that space? And I think it's a really fascinating thought experiment from that perspective, because then I would want something that is the most equitable, that provides the most advantages for everyone in that situation, in that society. And I feel that the direction that Pi is going has great potential for being that, but it needs to develop certain characteristics that are currently not there. They have the possibility of coming into existence, but I feel that that's going to happen with time and persuasion and, commitment from the core team, understanding on a social level about what is actually happening here. So, it's some of the things that I've mentioned before, taking into consideration UBI, Universal Basic Income. And so, how would that look? I'm just, giving this some thought as I go along. I know that a lot of people have social security numbers, and it does a lot, but it also doesn't do much. So I'm thinking, people can be issued a social security number, but that social security number is tied to a phone and kind of acts like a phone number. So it's like you're born and you're given a phone. You're given a phone number. That phone number pretty much is your social security number, can be used to contact you, at any point. So it's your permanent number. It's a permanent contact number for you. And that's the identification number that you're using to mine and spend your Pi coin. So that, ultimately gets biometrically linked, fingerprint, iris scan, whatever, maybe DNA, I don't know. But ultimately, this account gets linked to you. And initially you have your guardians, you have your caretakers, and they're the ones that are basically continually minting the coins for you. Or, something like that. Maybe there's an automatic process where it's minted, for the first, whatever, 18 years of someone's, once the account is established, the coins are minted on a continual basis for 18 years. And then that account goes live, and that person can then spend the money or something like that. Or, maybe it's used to provide for them as they're continuing going. Because if you are growing, then you are going to need resources. So there's some mechanism in there where you can have access to it if you absolutely need to before you reach, maturity as far as our laws, are concerned. But once that's the case, then it continues to be minted for the rest of your life as well. Now you can, do things to increase the amount that you're earning with those coins, but it's not, it's not something where you are going to go below a certain amount of basic income for humanity. It's kind of like a human right to have access to the monetary system. It's a human right to have, a certain level of income where you can, do certain things. And I feel like that's where the continued inflation of a particular coin that is used as a currency would be really valuable. So I don't know that the Pi network coins will fill this space, but if they did, then it would be highly utilized by everyone in the society. And I feel like this is something that would need to, happen ideally on a global scale, not, with data, we are, easily covering the entire planet right now. And so it's something that I envision happening on a global scale, backed by, the various countries that are on the globe as well. And just seeing the development of humanity as a whole. So that's something I would like to see and go forward now. I haven't put this in writing. These are thoughts that I'm having as I speak here. But there you go. So another idea here is that the Wright brothers, they basically were not skilled. They weren't the most educated individuals in their society at the time when they discovered flight. And the most educated and intellectual individuals in their society at that point were the ones who, could tell you a million ways in which flight would not work. But the Wright brothers didn't care about any of that stuff. They just knew that they wanted to make it work, and so they did. It's the tinkerers, it's the ones on the, foundational level that make things happen. And so it's not the establishment had a certain view, but they were proven wrong with a paradigm shift. And so, I think that there are many aspects these days where the establishment is, not accurate, not correct about what is going on. Whether it's just, with, one cryptocurrency being dominant, or, just the way forward with our culture. Like, how can the tinkerers in the cryptocurrency space, in the thought space, move these projects along, contribute their energy, and make them, work well. So there's that. I also, came across this idea that these days owning is knowing. And this resonates with me because a lot of humans in general, it's I came across I think it was a Bankless podcast again, where they were talking about the intersection of philosophy and Bitcoin. It was a group of philosophers, and they went into the philosophy of Bitcoin because, pretty much every category, every subject area at this point has its own type of philosophical considerations. So I entertain philosophical thoughts often, and I, often ask the question, who am I, right? The age-old question that humanity asks itself, or humans ask themselves. And there have been insufficient answers provided to me thus far, but some do resonate, and one in particular resonates. And it's this description of myself as an idea. So, who am I? Seems to be a misleading question. The better question is, what am I? And the answer to that question is that I am an idea. And so, I have an idea about, the name that I was given at birth, or the gender that I have, or my nationality, or the planet that I'm from, or this or that or the third, or, any number of labels that can be placed on me. But it's not necessarily any of those individually. Maybe it's a sum of those, and maybe it transcends those, the idea that I am, or what I am, or anything like that. So this idea was presented, and it was saying that owning is now knowing. So basically, if you know something now, basically you own it. And if you hear me speak at points, I might go into the conversation of law jurisdictions. So what I mean by that is that there are some laws that govern earthly activities, and there are some laws that govern, I want to say, higher level, heavenly, celestial activities. And so, for instance, I'll give you an example. If you're, dealing with earthly activities, if I have an apple and I give you the apple, I must therefore relinquish my ability to have access to that apple. Even with Bitcoin, right? It's the double spend situation, because the higher level activities lend themselves to double spending. What do I mean by that? Okay, so if I have the apple, I give you the apple. I no longer have the apple to give to anybody else, right? So I only have one apple to give. Yeah, the tree may be going to grow back more apples, but see, that's the thing. The tree grows more apples. It's not just one apple. The nature is abundant in that way, where a tree grows apples, it grows grapes, it grows oranges, and then there's abundance. And so with the heavenly law, an idea, if I have an idea and I pass this idea on to you, then you have the entire idea, but I still have the entire idea. And so giving away something is a way of actually increasing it. And you see YouTube, benefit from that. People give away their knowledge on YouTube, but that increases their ability, their capability, their following, their ability to engage and interact and earn. And it's a heavenly principle. To give is better than to receive. And giving is, in fact, actually receiving. Giving is how you keep. Giving is how you multiply. So if I give the idea to you, then you have the idea and I have the idea, and we can go out and give it to 2 more people, then 4 people have the idea. And it's an exponential growth situation like that. So owning is now knowing. So, if you want to own things, learn. Start learning things, start understanding things, start knowing things. That's how you learn. And so, whether it's, using cryptocurrency, how to use different wallets, how to use different exchanges, how to engage with different ecosystems, whether it be Android or Microsoft or Apple. So owning is now knowing. I find that to be a really interesting idea, and something that I'd like to, probably dig in a bit more later. So, yeah, there's that. I've been finding it a bit, what's the word, cumbersome to go over or keep track of the different things I've been listening to or find new things to be talking about in context of the Pi network at this point. And so what I am going to do is pretty much co-opt a series that has been published by Robert Breedlove and Michael Saylor. Basically the What is Money series. And I'm going to be adapting it, in my thoughts, in my way, to the Pi network, to the Pi ecosystem. So I'm gonna have, basically the future videos for, a while going forward. He's put out a lot of content on his channel about what is money. And so I'm basically just going to be reviewing a lot of the content that he covers in that video series, and adapting it to the Pi network. So you can look forward to that in the future. I'd encourage you to go and watch those videos yourself. I'm doing it in part because it's something that I would want to review more in depth, because I feel that the content is definitely worth it. Michael Saylor has a lot to say. He has a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. And so this is me diving into his stream of thought. Also, Robert Breedlove seems to be very well read, very well educated, and wants to, do the best for this community as well. So again, I'd like to dive into his stream of thought. So that's something I'm going to be, working on going forward. And if you come along for the ride, I hope you enjoy it. So again, that's pretty much what I have for you today. I hope you are all doing well. And until next time, keep on pioneering and keep on rethinking.